my parents. I'm not saying that just because they're here, but I think in many respects they were teenagers, and you know, they ended up with this kid who was very inquisitive. My mother was studying to be a teacher, so she did a lot of her lesson plans on me. And so by the time I was 4, I was reading the New York Times. And so that sounds crazy, but that's how.
Unbelievable. But this is inspired by the summer that you spend at the beach with your family. So what is it like to share that time with your children?
It's amazing. I mean, there are only 3 places in the country where Black folks were allowed to summer on.
I have this huge platform on The View, and I just started thinking about giving voice to the voiceless. What some people don't know about me is they know I'm a prosecutor, but I'm from the South Bronx projects. Like, I'm really just a everyday person, and I remember when I was 7, my uncle was in front of me, and our family never talked.
Everything exploded on live television when a shocking family secret came to light that no one saw coming, especially not from her. Sunny Hostin, known for fiercely speaking out against racism, had her entire image shaken after one jaw-dropping discovery. Her 3rd great-grandfather was a slaveholder. This wasn't some obscure rumor or baseless gossip. It came from the respected show Finding Your Roots, where Sunny agreed to explore her ancestry. She expected something inspiring, maybe even emotional, but what she got sent ripples across the internet. The moment researchers dropped the truth, you could literally see Sunny freeze on screen. She blinked, paused, and then brushed it off. No big statement, no real reflection, just a quick acknowledgement and a shrug that left viewers stunned.
I definitely am a journaler, so I did that piece, and I also just sort of sat down and dictated a lot of my memories, and I just started from the beginning. I started from my childhood in the South Bronx projects.
For someone who's made a career out of calling others out on racial insensitivity, this was the ultimate plot twist. Her silence didn't just confuse, fans it outraged them. Twitter lit up, critics went in hard, and even longtime supporters started asking, how can someone so loud about justice stay so quiet about her own past? And that's when the real drama started. By the way, before we continue, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow and share more intriguing stories like this one. Now, let's continue.
Well, for me, the two moments are connected in a couple of ways, but I decided to become a prosecutor because I saw my uncle in front of me. And I saw that he didn't seem to matter to the police.
What came next turned a personal revelation into a full-blown public meltdown. The internet was already buzzing, but things hit a boiling point on The View Live, unscripted and totally unfiltered. It started during a seemingly normal segment. The co-hosts were talking about legal scandals and public image when Sunny, still clearly rattled by the ancestry backlash, made a sly, almost offhand remark. She hinted that some people on the show had pushed certain narratives too far. And those narratives had given the media exactly what it needed to blow things up? Her eyes locked with Joy Behar. The tension was instant. Joy's reaction was sharp. Her eyebrows lifted, her face tightened. You could tell she wasn't going to let it slide. In front of the cameras and a live audience, Joy asked Sunny to clarify what she meant. Sunny hesitated, clearly uncomfortable. But then she pushed forward and said that if they hadn't stirred things up with so much speculation about certain people, maybe they wouldn't be dealing with lawsuits and media chaos now.
If you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television.
Sunny's dumb. Certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought.
It was a quiet accusation, but it hit like a slap. Joy didn't back down. She sat up straighter and went in, asking why someone who preaches moral clarity was now deflecting blame. It was bold, it was brutal, and it was absolutely unmissable. Suddenly, a conversation about history turned into a spotlight on Sunny's personal contradictions broadcast in real time, with millions watching. That one moment flipped everything. Joy Behar wasn't just defending herself, she was calling Sunny out loudly and directly, live on air. And it wasn't subtle. Joy reminded Sunny, right there in front of everyone, how she'd spent years demanding accountability from public figures who refused to acknowledge America's racist past. She had dragged politicians, celebrities, and even historical figures for their roles in oppression and injustice. But now, when her own family history came out, silence, deflection, excuses. Joy pressed harder. How does blaming others for this mess line up with the values you shout from this table every day? She asked. It was like watching someone rip the mask off live on national TV.
My first stomping grounds, when I first started being a comedian, I started down there. You know, the gay audience is my best. They were great. They laughed at everything. They got it.
Why did they
were
get you?
supportive. Why did they get me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
They just got you.
They did. They did.
And when you came here, well, tell folks, you were born and raised where?
Williamsburg.
Sunny, usually poised and confident, looked shaken. The studio audience fell completely silent. Even the camera seemed to hesitate. And while this fiery exchange was happening, the internet was already in flames. Clips were getting posted, reposted, dissected. Joy's words spread like wildfire. Hashtags started trending within the hour. Viewers weren't just reacting, they were taking sides. Some cheered Joy for standing her ground. Others felt it was too harsh. But no one could deny this. The moral authority Sunny had built her career on was now under heavy fire, and it wasn't just coming from outsiders. It was coming from within the show, from her own colleague, from Joy Behar. As if the drama on The View wasn't explosive enough, another headline dropped that poured gasoline on the fire. Melania Trump had filed a $100 million lawsuit over alleged defamatory comments. At first, it seemed completely unrelated, but then conservative commentator Greg Gutfeld jumped in and made sure it wasn't. On his show, Gutfeld linked everything together. He called out Sunny by name, accusing her of hypocrisy and moral grandstanding. He played clips from The View, even replaying Joy's takedown of Sunny in slow motion with sarcastic commentary.
Cheating while Melania was pregnant.
That was all. That's not going to come in front of the jury, though. The judge has ruled
Well,
that won't come
we're
up.
in television now. And then after Melania gave birth to the baby, he found Stormy to strip around with, right?
Yes.
It's like people should look at him and say, you know, what kind of an insecure jerk are you? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, my wife's pregnant. I'm not attracted to her big belly or something. And now she's paying attention to the baby. And
Mocking the entire situation like it was a late-night comedy sketch. But it wasn't funny, it was strategic. He painted Melania as someone standing up for herself, taking legal action to protect her name, while Sunny, who had spent years attacking others for their past was now trying to wiggle out of her own. The comparison was brutal. One woman was fighting back with lawyers, the other was squirming under the weight of her own contradictions. Suddenly, two completely separate scandals were fused into one headline-grabbing story. And Sunny? She wasn't just facing backlash from fans or from Joy anymore. She had become the perfect target for conservative media. The scandal had legs, it had teeth, and now it had the backing of a culture war narrative. Sunny was no longer just dealing with a personal revelation, she was caught in the middle of a national storm. Backstage at The View, things were unraveling fast. What started as one uncomfortable moment had turned into a full-blown crisis. According to insiders, producers were panicking. They were worried not just about the drama between Sunny and Joy, but about losing viewers, losing sponsors, and dragging the whole show into dangerous territory. Behind the scenes, the energy shifted. Staff whispered about advertisers getting cold feet. Rumors spread that network execs were closely watching how this mess played out. And right in the center of it all was Sunny, once the show's confident moral voice, now under a microscope. The problem wasn't just the revelation about her ancestor, it was how she handled it. She didn't seem apologetic. She didn't seem thoughtful. She seemed defensive and in some moments, even dismissive. People noticed. Viewers who had once supported her were turning, not because of her family history, but because of what they saw as a double standard. And then came the twist. On live TV, Sunny dropped another grenade. She hinted that Joy's jokes about politics, about ancestry, about her might have stirred up the media chaos. It sounded like she was blaming Joy for the whole storm, including Melania Trump's lawsuit. The audience could feel it, another shot fired. And this time, it wasn't quiet or careful. It was direct. People were no longer watching a morning show. They were watching a breakdown happen in real time. That comment from Sunny hit hard, and Joy wasn't about to let it slide. As soon as Sunny implied that Joy's jokes had helped fuel the media frenzy, everything shifted. The air in the studio went heavy. You could see the shock on Joy's face, and then boom, she fired back. Joy leaned in and didn't sugarcoat a thing. She challenged Sunny right there. "Are you seriously blaming me for this?" The tension was unreal. Sunny, still frustrated, doubled down. She said that if the jokes hadn't been so relentless, people like Melania Trump wouldn't have had ammunition for a $100 million lawsuit. Joy's patience snapped. She reminded Sunny that she had made her career out of holding others accountable, demanding they face their pasts, demanding they look in the mirror. Then she hit her with the line that would go viral in minutes. "You can't ask everyone else to look in the mirror if you're not prepared to do the same thing yourself." That line wasn't just personal, it was surgical. The entire audience froze. Even the co-hosts didn't know where to look. Sunny went silent, clearly rattled. She blinked fast, looked down, looked away completely off her usual confident game. The cameras caught every second. Social media exploded. Memes, debates, and think pieces flooded the internet within hours. This wasn't just daytime drama anymore. It had become a cultural event. Social media couldn't look away. The clip of Joy shutting down Sunny was everywhere shared, memed, slowed down, remixed. Viewers were split, but everyone had an opinion. Some praised Joy for standing her ground and calling out what they saw as hypocrisy. Others thought she went too far, saying it felt more like a public takedown than a fair challenge. But the one thing no one could argue, it was unforgettable. As the internet tore into every second of the exchange, conservative pundits like Greg Gutfeld kept pouring fuel on the fire. He played the clip over and over on his show, mocking Sunny, praising Joy, and sarcastically framing the whole moment as a collapse of woke righteousness. His audience ate it up. And with Melania Trump's lawsuit still in the background, the tension reached a new level of absurd. What started as a personal ancestry reveal had now become a national debate on hypocrisy, morality, and public accountability. And Sunny? She was getting hammered from every angle: conservative media, longtime fans, even her own co-host. Her silence, her tone, her timing, all of it was being picked apart. What made it worse? She had spent years holding others to the fire. Now, people wanted to see if she could handle the same heat. And by the look on her face during that live exchange, it wasn't looking good. As the chaos spilled further into public view, the pressure on The View grew unbearable. Viewers were tuning in not just for hot topics, but to catch every glance, every micro-expression between Sunny and Joy. People weren't just watching a talk show, they were watching a live firestorm slowly burn through the set. Then another curveball landed. Reports surfaced that Melania Trump's legal team was exploring whether comments made on The View Eyes, even jokes, could be pulled into her $100 million defamation case. The connection? Thin, maybe. But the possibility was enough to make the producers sweat bullets. Every episode now carried a new weight. The show's usual rhythm-light debates, political chatter, celebrity news was replaced by an unspoken tension. Fans online noticed how Sunny's body language shifted, how Joy's tone sharpened. Every eye roll and side glance became a gif. People even started analyzing pauses and stutters. What used to be a safe space for moral commentary now felt like a battlefield of unspoken grudges. Sunny, trying to move forward, now couldn't bring up systemic injustice without getting blasted in the comments. Her credibility had taken a serious hit, and it was bleeding into every conversation she tried to lead. The entire show had become a high-stakes drama only this time. The cast wasn't acting. And while Sunny tried to keep things professional on air, the tension just wouldn't let up. Interviews started popping up carefully, worded ones, of course. Sunny admitted that learning about her ancestors' past had been emotionally difficult. She said it caught her off guard, but she still avoided anything close to a real apology or reflection. To many viewers, it felt too vague, too polished. Meanwhile, Joy wasn't holding back. In a separate interview, she doubled down. She said, "Plain and simple, you can't ask everyone else to look in the mirror if you're not prepared to do the same thing yourself." That line hit like a slap the first time, and it hit even harder now that Joy was standing by it in public. The message was clear. If you want to be the moral compass, you'd better be ready when that compass points back at you. People online kept dragging the clip back into the spotlight. Every time Sunny tried to lead a segment about justice or inequality, the comments flooded with side eyes and, "But what about your great-grandfather?" The credibility she'd spent years building was now chipped, cracked, and visibly under stress. And this wasn't just about Sunny anymore. It was now about every public figure who holds others accountable while avoiding their own mess. The View had accidentally opened a much bigger conversation, and it wasn't going away anytime soon. And then came the ratings spike. As all the chaos unfolded between the ancestry scandal, the live blow-up with Joy, and the looming shadow of Melania Trump's lawsuit, The View saw something unexpected, a surge in viewers. People who hadn't watched in years were suddenly tuning in every day, waiting to see what would happen next. It wasn't just a talk show anymore. It was must-watch TV. Each episode felt like walking a tightrope. Would Sunny and Joy go at it again? Would the tension finally explode off-camera? Fans became detectives, watching their interactions like a drama series. Every smirk, every awkward pause, every clipped sentence was up for interpretation. It was raw, unpredictable, and for the network, profitable. But behind that boost in numbers was something darker. The show had become a symbol of the fine line between entertainment and scandal. Some critics called it a publicity goldmine. Others said it was sad to see personal breakdowns packaged as ratings fuel. The bigger question hung in the air. Was this kind of conflict just part of the job in daytime TV? Or had The View crossed into something else, entirely a place where moral debates, personal secrets, and viral moments were no longer separate, but one giant media spectacle? And at the heart of it all stood Sunny and Joy, still smiling for the cameras, but now carrying the weight of something that had changed the show forever. By the time the dust began to settle, one thing was certain: The View would never be the same again. Sunny Hostin, once praised as the moral compass of the panel, now found herself in unfamiliar territory. Her usual confidence had been replaced by something more cautious. And every time she spoke about racism, justice, or history, there was a pausia, noticeable hesitation, like she knew the audience was watching with a different lens now. Viewers hadn't forgotten. The moment she tried to steer the conversation towards social issues, a wave of skepticism hit. It wasn't what she was saying, it was who was saying it. The power of her voice had been fractured by the silence she kept when it mattered most. Joy, on the other hand, emerged as the one who said what many were thinking. She didn't sugarcoat it, didn't play nice for optics. She demanded that Sunny hold herself to the same standards she had set for everyone else. That line, "Look in the mirror," echoed far beyond the studio. It became the headline, the soundbite, the moment that defined the entire saga. Even as both women remained on the show, the dynamic had shifted. Every interaction now carried a shadow. The scandal wasn't just about ancestry or lawsuits, it was about how public figures confront their own flaws when the spotlight turns inward. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Also, drop your thoughts in the comments. See you on the next one.